everyone. Welcome back. I'm John Lincove.
I'm Ryan Pizlikowski.
I'm Joe Veselak.
And this week we are talking about the new 2024 Alfa Romeo Tonale. I am not going to make fun of the name. You guys can if you want, but not making fun of this small SUV's name. We bought a TI EAWD, all-wheel drive E. Okay, so electrified.
Really? EAW? Yeah.
EAWD, electronic art. I don't know. You know, is it like a video game thing? Is it like EA hockey or something, Dave? Is that part of this? No, it's like an electrified vehicle. So it's not fully electric,
right? But
it's not a mild hybrid either. Those ones that just like shut off the engine at traffic lights. So we'll get to it. It's 1.3 liter 4-cylinder turbo engine, but it's also plug-in hybrid powertrain with it. 6-speed automatic. Only offered as a PHEV. So none of this like, it's a compliance car. They don't expect to sell it. Like, no, this is the way they're selling it. So like I said, we bought a mid-level TI trim, $44,995 MSRP. Only option for us, $1,200 moonroof. Came out to $47,790 with destination charge. So not cheap.
No.
But not, I mean, the way prices are going with cars, I mean, look, $44,900 to start for a mid-level car is kind of around average, close to an average new car price. So not outrageous, unfortunately, today. But so Joe, it's a unique powertrain. Tell us a little bit about the Tonale.
Yeah, so 1.3 liter 4-cylinder. So we're seeing a lot of small displacement 4-cylinders, right? We just seen, I don't know if we spoke about it, but the Trax with a 1.2.
Yeah, the Chevy Trax, right?
Yes, exactly. So, it's a small engine, but so the 4-cylinder actually drives the front wheels, the electric motor drives the rear wheels, and makes a total horsepower of 285. Which I guess when you get on it, you can start to notice that it does have that power. But when you're kind of like meandering around daily, you might think it has less.
Yeah,
it feels weak. I agree.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But if you mat it, like I got in the highway at one point, matted it, and it was like it got up and went, but
right.
It wasn't like gobs of power, And
it's not like you're getting, weird wheel spin from the front because it's not driving the rear.
Right,
you feel like you don't feel any of that. Like it's waiting to kick in.
Yeah. So I believe I was noticing it saying EPA 29. I think I was seeing maybe around 30, but I did a lot more highway not sure how accurate that is, but also I'm slated to purchase the Hornet, which is kind of based off of the same platform, but I'm looking at a GT spec, which is or trim that has a 2-liter, it's not a plug-in hybrid. So it'll be interesting to see what that drives like. Yeah,
the Dodge Hornet and the Tonale, so they share platform and they share components also with the Jeep Compass. So, that's Stellantis, Chrysler, Alfa Fiat, whatever, like whole world of conglomerate, sharing components with the among their models there. The interesting thing, 33 miles of all electric driving. So did you guys experience the ability to stay in it? I mean, we have an interesting question later on in the show, but sometimes you're not, it's all electric, but it kicks in and out. Right. What'd you experience, right?
I took it, I had it for the weekend and it was fully charged when I took it on, I think Friday. And I think it said 30 miles when I got into it fully charged, but that fluctuates a little bit sometimes depending on the temperatures and whatnot. Yeah. And I think I used, by the time I used it up, I think I was like maybe 28 miles it was like used up, which isn't bad, I guess. But I did notice if you stomp on the throttle, like going up a big hill or something, the engine will kick on, even in that EV mode. I did not try that with the EV save. It has an e-save button that'll allow you to save that.
Right.
But I don't know. So I got like about 28 miles in straight EV, and like I said, if you stomp on it, it will kick on the gas engine and kind of boost it, give you, I think that's more of a safety thing. Maybe if you're getting on the highway and you like realize you got to get going, and then you stomp on it. It's only 33 miles of range, so if you stomp on the throttle and it gives you all electric, you're going to chew that 33 miles up in no time, right?
Right.
And it's not it doesn't feel that light, the cars. You can kind of feel the weight, so the engine, kicks in to help you. That was my experience with the
Joey, you had something.
Yeah, so I did force it, or did choose to force EV mode and drive around, and a few times I didn't notice the engine coming on when I fully got you know,
like
when I was
strong acceleration.
Yeah, on the accelerator. Call it a throttle. Can't say throttle anymore.
Can't call it gas pedal always with electrics, right?
But yeah, so I didn't notice that, but it did feel slower. So I feel like if you switch to hybrid or whenever the internal combustion engine comes on, you are gonna get, it feels like the acceleration is quicker, or at least to me it felt that way. I'm not sure if it's numerically that way, but
we'll find out.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, there's a couple different driving modes. You know, there's a dynamic mode, and there's like an assisted hybrid, you know, mode, and you know, depending on which one you choose, it'll either engage the engine always, even if you have electricity or not. I drove it; it was fully charged when I picked it up, and was able to drive from here down south, down the coast a bit. And stayed in electric the whole time. Like it was one of those things like you talked about. You get into some of these plugins and you know, you could feel it clicking in and out, you know, no matter what you drive, you know, quick acceleration, not even hard, not matting it, but just like, I mean, people won't know this road necessarily, listeners and viewers, but the hop yard. You know, we drive through Devil's Hop Yard. You know, and there's a couple times you come out of a corner, you know, it's super slow, and then you want to just accelerate, and it'll kick in. This didn't. I was able to drive that on electricity.
Yeah, I'll clarify. Like I was touching the floorboard with the gas pedal to make it that come on. Like, you almost feel that like click. There's like that last
the push through.
Yeah, and that's how it came. You know, it came on then, but. I on regular driving it stays straight EV mode for sure. Yeah, I was surprised it didn't really drain in the battery that quickly. I mean, I felt I got a lot of I got the full range with it.
Yeah, me too.
Yep. So Ryan, driving experience, because you talked about some pretty strong feelings in our pre-meeting about this.
Yeah. Well, I took off Friday. I think I got 100 yards down the road and I realized this thing is stiff.
Yeah.
I'll call it stiff. It was stiff riding. It's really firm. Every little thing comes through to the point where it actually has a ton of road noise that comes. You can feel it literally coming straight through the suspension. You can feel it in the steering wheel almost, the vibrations. However, that gives you it actually has really good steering feel, I thought. A lot of communication. You can feel what's going on with the wheels as you're driving it, but it was like noisy. I mean, I was found myself turning the volume up, speaking louder to people in the car. And then if you change surfaces, like you're driving along and the surface changes underneath you, it's like radical change. Like if it's smooth, it's not too bad, but then you hit like a coarse surface and it's like, oh my God.
Right.
It's like noticeably like loud. That's like stuck out to me the most.
And interesting because it's in either mode, whether it's the engine's running or in EV mode. Like it sounded almost like when you're in EV, which like, wow, without the engine, I could hear everything.
Yeah, no,
the engine,
right. And the engine, well, I didn't think it was that loud because all I was hearing was the road, right? But it was just the road noise was all I was hearing, really. It was kind of absurd.
Yeah, did you notice? I was talking with John before about how just between the two different modes, the steering might change a little, because now when you're in EV mode, you're just driving the rear wheels.
Yeah.
And I noticed there is, even just in general, I think on center, there's a little dead area there where it lacks a little on center until it loads up, and then it's really nice. But I did notice there was a little slight difference in behavior, whether or not you're in EV or hybrid mode with the steering, with like torque steer, there's other things.
Yeah, and that makes sense if the front wheels are getting powered by the engine and the rear is the electric, so... No,
it's just an odd when it's a sporty platform like this where you have like these nuances or situations, even with it in going in, like clicking on and off from hybrid EV mode while you're in a sporty, windy road. You're like, kind of just makes you, I don't know, makes you stop and think something might have broken when you're in a sports car, flying around back roads or just having fun, enjoying it.
Yeah, I would like to see it out here, broken in, tires broken, and just see how it flips in and out.
Yeah.
Because that would be, like you said, is driving just those wheels. I too found the steering not disconcertingly light. You get into some cars and it's like like you're using a video game controller. There's just no resistance. But it did have some times where it was overly light, and then it would catch. Yep. And then the heft, but the heft would come in as you're turning through.
Yeah, sure, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting just because to Joe's point, it is a sporty handling car. Like it feels pretty. I thought it felt quite capable, but then it's got this hybrid powertrain in it that's kind of weak in a way, and like it's trying to be like this fuel saver but sporty,
right?
And it feels sporty. I mean, between the road noise and the steering and just the handling itself, and the ride is stiff. It's sporty, but then it has just like regular old mundane kind of powertrain in it. I thought it was fairly smooth. Acting and then popping in and out of the gasoline and then the hybrid mode, like in and out of EV and stuff. I thought it was pretty smooth transition.
Sure.
Yeah. So I was pretty pleased with that. It is a firm riding car.
It's almost as if it was just a hybrid, almost a little more enjoyable without having the I don't see. Look, I know it's a little late to the game for them. Like they're coming in.
Yeah,
later,
exactly.
But the plug-in aspect is a little odd because it doesn't feel to me to be a vehicle that would be something like, well, I'm just have it for around town, drive like, a Prius, a RAV4 Prime, a Prius, some of these other plug-ins, some of the Hyundai or Kia plug-ins, it's a little more of a family vehicle for around town. And if you're never driving away, too far away, you're always on electric. I don't see that as this vehicle. But that's why I'm not in marketing probably as well.
Yeah, it seems like, there's a slight identity crisis going on where what is it trying to be? And it's trying to be the best of both worlds, maybe appeal to a market that wants efficiency with sportiness, which I don't know how many people out there
what is that?
I don't know.
Yeah, who is that for, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah. No, it's very true. It's very true. Let's jump figuratively inside the vehicle. So it's interesting at the price. It's like a cloth seat, but I found them supportive. I found them comfortable. Nice steering wheel. I was able to do a long drives in it. A decent stint with no support issues, no seat fading, stuff like that. I had my daughter and a couple of her friends in the back seat for, it was probably 50, 60 minutes, and they were fine. They're a little snug in there, but teens can fit. I wouldn't really put more than 2 adults in there, and even then, I think I wouldn't want.
No, it's just a little snug.
Expect 2 Ryans sitting behind there.
Yeah, you're gonna be scooching the front seats up a little bit.
Exactly,
it's just snug, but for kids like that, I think that's appropriate.
Did you guys find the cockpit small, fitting, okay? Because I
thought it was snug. You're hemmed in there. It's got a 40 sort of like feel to it, right? I mean, the steering wheel's like right where you want it. I want it. Commanding kind of position. The console cut my knee a bit.
Exactly.
It's kind of a bulky console, but it's narrow. You're hemmed in there, and that's not always a bad thing. I mean, it keeps you right in place. But I would agree it was a little narrow.
Yeah, I don't mind being a little tight or feeling like I don't mind smaller confined areas like that when it's a sporty, good driving position where I can reach everything easily. And my only complaint is the armrest on the driver's door is at a different height than the center armrest, and it's a little off. I don't know. I used it at a weird position. Just how I rest my left elbow when I'm driving, it's a little uncomfortable, but I can kind of get around it where I stop noticing that after a while.
I found a couple things. First of all, the seat belt, it has nice adjustable anchors, but they're really low.
It
was constantly dropping off my shoulder, which is a little disconcerting.
It was annoying.
The last time, you don't want to hit something. It's down here all of a sudden.
Yeah, I got in it and I was like, because a lot of people adjust them down and I'm a little taller, so I'll go. The first thing I do is reach over, and I reached over and it was already at the top. I was like, you got to be joking. It's low. I mean, I was surprised.
Yeah, that's the same thing for me. That's pretty funny. I don't really notice that stuff, but I went in, first thing I went to go slam it up and looked, and I'm like, nope, maybe I'll lower the seat as much as it can go. So I can adjust the belt.
I get it after you, and
it's
kind of like this. But yeah, for you to feel, to do that, just a different seat, again, different seating position. I mean, like, Mike Quincy sits like really high up, and Jeff Bartlett sits a different way. So I mean, we all have our different seating positions, but to have 3 people of different positions, sizes, etc. That's an odd thing. I don't know how that.
I don't either. I will ding. The only thing I will ding about the cockpit and the driving position is the seat doesn't go very low. My hair was like just about grazing, almost grazing the ceiling, but I didn't feel like it wasn't bothering me, but I was close. Like and I always reach for a little more to go down, and I couldn't go down anymore. So
I always snug. Do this like. Can I put my hand above? And I was able to do probably like I could 3 or 4 fingers, and it was still 2. The touch screen, it's a new Uconnect. Uconnect really was great when it launched. I mean, it just was sort of like worlds ahead of everyone else, the Chrysler system. how do you guys interact with it? I know we talked, and you're just like, I just drive.
Yeah, well, yeah. Some of these things they get so frustrating, and I'm more interested in how the thing handles and drives. Right. I thought it was okay. Like I was able to get through the basic stuff. I went down a rabbit hole with like the tachometer, like the gauge cluster. You can change there's like 5 different, or there's like several different ways you can have the like gauge cluster set up, which I don't know. I'm not into that. Like I just need to gauge a couple gauges and I'm good. But
yeah.
But then I couldn't find my way around it. Like I got lost in there, and then I got frustrated, and I just kept driving, and that was that. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I spent a decent amount of time sitting in the driveway playing around with it, just trying to see a few things. And this is controls enough are busy, right? Just across the board. But yeah, this seems like it's more complicated. I'm noticing the center screen, some of the all the icons that are aligned with the left side that are there are small, and with the rough ride you start like trying, it's like you're throwing darts, you know, just trying to hit what you're trying to do. And I noticed there's a bit of a delay on the first time you switch. So I'm going from media to climate. Just that first time in that trip, there's like a 3-second delay. After that it catches up.
Yeah.
It doesn't do that for the rest of the trip.
Yeah.
But, and then also with the auto headlights, last night I'm parking it. Auto headlights are on. I shut the vehicle off, open the door. It's dinging at me, screaming at me, telling me I need to shut the lights off.
What was that?
I try to force them off. They do not shut off. You just ignore it, deal with the dinging. The lights that automatically shut off after 30 seconds.
I noticed the dinging too. That's funny you bring that up, because I think I went to the gym in the morning, and like I park right in front of the door where we work out, so I leave the keys in the car. Don't tell anybody. And I'm literally standing right there. I'm literally standing right there, so it's okay. But I got out, and I thought that because I left a key in it, the light was on, because the lights were just shining into the gym, like through the garage doors. And I got out, and then I got the lights to go off, but it was like it was dinging at me the whole time. And then I got out with the key another time, and it was still dinging at me. I don't know what that was. So.
I had the same thing, and I mean, I park in a garage, but always bring the keys in because the kids will leave the garage door open or something like that, or my wife will leave the garage door open, and I just obviously don't want the car to walk. Right. And yeah, I said get out with the keys, and it's telling me to turn the lights off. So
yeah, it's on auto.
Yeah,
right.
And you can't force them off.
You can't force them off. Yeah. I mean, the delay I saw, if you turn on the car and like you just turn it on, and again, it's got the button on the steering wheel, so that always threw me. I kept wanting to press that DNA button and turn it on. So you turn it on, and you just immediately in reverse and back up. The camera refresh rate was really weird. It was really slow and
like glitch. It's like
yeah.
Literally. So
okay.
like,
So not me.
I saw that.
Yeah. So it's kind of strange. You're backing up, and it's you're not 100% confident that it's actually showing the what's behind you accurately at that moment. Small screen. I had a lot of So immediately, if it's a touch screen versus a controller, okay, fine. Maybe your eyes are up, you're touching it. But if it's so small or it's so sensitive that you're missing things, then all of a sudden you're now distracted.
Yeah, and frustrated.
Right. So
there was a decent amount of hard buttons, I thought, though.
Yeah,
there are. Totally are.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So the one other thing I saw, and saw a lead on that, wide front roof pillars. The A pillars are massive, and it's similar. I mean, it's a different car. The Grecale, the Maserati Grecale is a different platform based on the Grand Cherokee and such, but they all have big pillars and big mirrors. Yeah. So a little visibility issue at corners or intersections. I don't know what you guys saw.
Yeah, no, I ran into that a little bit. You just find yourself having to reach around it.
Yeah. But the back view was all right. I mean, it's actually kind of a big window for such a small vehicle. So I didn't have issues with that. The blind spot worked well. So I mean, good overall. So in this segment, so we're going to call it the entry level luxury compact segment, whatever. Price wise, what do you think? And then would you buy it?
I wouldn't buy one.
Yeah, too much and no. Yeah,
man, a few words.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I mean, that's to your point earlier. I mean, that 47,000 is in the end of the world, for a new car, right? Especially something that's has a lot of features in it. I mean, it has a lot of safety stuff and whatnot. So
it's well equipped.
Yeah, I think it's not far off. It's just not my cup of tea. It's too small for me physically, right? And the plug-in part doesn't really make sense to me. I like a hybrid, but the plug-in I don't find. I don't know. I don't know if I'd use it.
I forgot to plug it in at night. I brought it home and I have a charger. I forgot to plug it in. So I mean, which a lot
that's
of
what would happen to me. I would just forget or not charge it, and just use it as a hybrid the whole time, right?
And so a lot of people say they don't plug in their plug-ins.
Yeah.
So they're actually not beneficial.
Yeah, I would just have that. I would not be, probably would be doing that, not plugging it in, and I don't know.
You just get lazy. And,
maybe people just have it just to say they have it, just to be like, well, I have this ability, so I find it cool, but I'm just going to run it as a hybrid. I don't know.
I wish it would show you the hybrid. It does a great job. They do a great job showing you the range. I mean, there's like multiple screens on that instrument cluster.
Almost,
redundant, showing you how much battery range you have on EV mode.
Like total with gas and EV, and then EV only, and then, gas only or whatever.
But nothing with the hybrid. Doesn't tell you the battery charge status at all with the hybrid. So I had no idea. I mean, and you could feel when it's in electric. You could, you watch the tachometer go. So that was odd. I found that strange. Anyway, we'll have some first drive on it as we get more miles. I mean, we just got this in, so I mean, I think the three of us are the first ones to drive it anyway. So look at consumerreports.org for more information on the Alfa Romeo Tonale, and we didn't call it the toenail. We did, as a lot of people make fun of it. At this point, we're going to move over to questions, but of course, want to remind everyone who's watching, who's listening, send your questions, short videos, text questions to talkingcars@icloud.com. So our question this week comes from Brett from East Northport, New York on the island. Say hi to Dave Abrams out there. I've been test driving and reading about PHEV, plug-in hybrid electric vehicle SUVs, and I've seen some comments about the engine starting up during strong acceleration, even when the PHEV has a nearly full charge on the battery and the car is set to EV mode only. Sometimes the reviews have indicated that the engine kicks on all too easily, even when the acceleration isn't that strong. Have you experienced this phenomenon? Are there any vehicles where the engine would not start up under those circumstances? So we reached out. We talked to a couple people here, particularly the EV experts, of which I am not. Joey, what did you dig up on this one?
Yeah, so I'll start by saying I'm not an EV expert either, but I did speak with one. And this is kind of tough. There really isn't an answer besides that it's very complicated. There's a lot going on. Every vehicle is different, right? Yep. So, and there's other variables just besides that. Every scenario is different. How hard are you pushing the throttle down? How quickly? When? What's the terrain? What's the technology that the vehicle has? Also temperature. You can have the same vehicle do different things throughout the day or in different scenarios. So you kind of, it depends is the answer, which is not what he probably wants to hear, but
sure. I mean, so Alex, who appears on the show at times as well, he sent me some information. And it depends, like you said, it depends. And it sounds like a parent, like, well, it's different, so deal with it.
Yeah.
That's the answer. But it depends on really the EV capacity also. You know, if it has a large capacity, EV capacity, large battery. So he used the example, Toyota RAV4 Prime or the Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid. So they can easily propel the vehicle down the road without having to have the engine kick in, for more power. Hyundai Tucson, on the other hand, less power from the motor, less power, smaller capacity. It needs to have the engine kick in to just motivate you down the road in the similar situation to keep up that same speed, same acceleration capacity. They also all have a different strategy for battery maintenance and battery longevity and keeping charge in it. So, some try to run on electric power until it depletes, which is kind of the way the Alfa does. That's why I alluded to in the beginning. The Tonale does that, where it's just, nope, we're staying in EV unless Ryan here mats the throttle.
Pushes it through the floor.
Exactly. Yeah. And others try to stretch it out, so they do a little combined. So like you guys, we drove the Mazda CX-90 that we rented from them. They have a hybrid version, they have a non-hybrid or plug-in. And that's a little more like it's in and out. And then finally just how the drive motor uses the battery.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it does. We come back to what you said, like, it depends.
Yeah. And I'm for whatever's the fastest way. If you're asking for full acceleration, that means you want the most power, that vehicle can produce. So whether it's through EV only is quicker, then that's fine. Just stay in EV. Or if it's in hybrid with assistance from, the electric motor, then just give it all it's got, which I think should be how everything goes. If you're in an emergency or a situation where you're getting onto an on-ramp and you need all the power you can get, then
it should be available. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting looking, when we get these questions, I kind of go down a rabbit hole and start seeing what people say. And a lot of people complain about the Ford Escape plug-in, and that it just is always kicking the engine in. Yeah. And I kind of big it akin to a Prius or a lot of Toyota hybrids, not plug-ins, just the Toyota hybrids. Yeah. It's like you drive with like an egg underneath the throttle, the gas pedal, the throttle, because the slightest touch kicks in the engine. That Highlander or the Sienna. I mean, both of those, it was so hard to drive it as an electric.
It's a challenge. It's a game to keep them in EV modes or, before the...
And that's fine. On the highway, maybe for cruising, right? It's fine. It shuts off the engine. It'll just run that way versus driving around town. Any thoughts on it, Ryan?
No, I think it does depend, right? It depends on a lot of things. So you're just going to have a different experience depending on the car, and maybe even in the same car in the same day.
Definitely.
But it's a good question.
So that's going to do it for this episode. As always, send your questions, short videos, or text questions to talkingcars@icloud.com. This episode was shot by Anatoly Shumsky and produced by Dave Abrams. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you all next time.